Mr. McElroy, how are we feeling today?
Dude, lots of mixed emotions, but we'll start with letter A, which is excited to be back in the podcast studio.
Yes. For those of you I know who miss Kevin McElroy's sweet voice on our last one, we got him back. We've got him back. We're excited to have him back on the show, and lots to go over today. I will say before we get too deep into this episode, for those of you who probably own a TV or I don't know, catch up on your online social media stuff, you probably know a major event happened here in our beloved city of Nashville. We just had, let's say at 12:45 a.m. on Tuesday morning, an F3 tornado reached the ground for about an hour. It killed at least 25 people, children among the dead, destroyed over 140 buildings in our Germantown neighborhoods, which is north of Nashville, into the 5 Point area over in east. And then it traveled more than 20 miles into east of Donaldson, Hermitage, and Mount Juliet. Hundreds of people are without their homes. Their homes were destroyed. Thousands of people are going without electricity. Probably will go a few days without that. Small businesses, to some of our favorite eateries, bars, music venues were just completely destroyed. So it has been a very somber day for us here in Nashville. So, we just want to tell everybody that our hearts and prayers are going out to you. And, Nashville is strong and we are going to get through this together.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. We were just talking about it when we came over here, just kind of like it's either it was total destruction or you weren't even affected by it at all. And so my family and I live south of Nashville, almost to the next city, Brentwood, which is down here. So we're several miles south of where it happened. And it's one of those things, man. And honestly, it reminded me of the feeling I had on 9/11. Like I woke up, and obviously this is a little bit less of an event than that. But in terms of like how surreal it feels, it was on the same par. Like, you wake up, it's another normal day, you think everything's fine, then you turn on the TV and notice that something, life-altering happened. Obviously, 9/11, it changed the landscape of an entire country. But for you and I who feel so connected to Nashville, this changes the landscape of our city. And that's something I'm still trying to wrap my head around right now is like, this is going to be a big deal, man. It has big repercussions that are going to go on for another few months here, and I don't think we've even fully realized that. So to wake up and see that, man, it's just heart-wrenching, and it's just I don't know, man. The feeling of helplessness when it comes to natural disasters is something that like is really kind of difficult to come to grasp with, man. It's like it's not human related. It can happen at any time, and you have zero control over it. Yeah. It's just wild.
Yeah, there's not really an army to fight against it. There's no preparation. It just happens. And I mean, this thing, an F3, super powerful. And there's an image that just stands in my, it just lives in my brain. They were showing the bits of downtown. Now, they say that the Nashville state bird is the crane because we have so many cranes. The Tennessee state bird, I'm sorry. To watch these cranes. Yeah. Construction cranes, yeah. That's kind of a funny joke.
It is.
It's like I saw it on a t-shirt. Crazy to see, like, the tornado that hit was, I don't know, 6-7 miles away, but to watch just the back winds spin these cranes, these just big, industrial cranes, and just spin them around like little toy helicopters I couldn't imagine what it was like to be lying in your bed or lying in your basement, hopefully, or in the tub and being protected and having this thing come over your house. Like, I could not imagine the strength of these winds. And this is an F3. They're saying it's an F3, but I couldn't even imagine an F4, let alone an F5, like with the power these things have. I mean, Mother Nature she is just a beast.
No, it's wild, man. And watching the news today, man, the biggest thing that kept coming to mind was like, dude, as humans being on the top of the food chain, we can get real comfortable and secure with thinking that we are on top of everything, right? And then to be placed in a position of this where you actually feel small in the scheme of things, that's another part of dealing with the tragedy too, man. It's like, no, man, you're not as okay, I'm not going to say I'm not going to generalize it personally too much, but like us as a species, we have a lot less control than we think. There's a lot more going on out there that can take away things at a moment's notice when we're worried about minuscule things, such as like, maybe climbing a corporate ladder or trying to, just all these little things that we get wrapped up in that seem so huge and like the end all be all for us. And then something like this can wipe through and you're just like, wow, man, perspective is just insane on things like this.
Absolutely. That's a good point too. And I think today my wife and I went walking just around the neighborhood, and we stopped in at lunch, and I was just kind of noticing everyone's energy. I think everybody was extra nice today. I think everybody was, our waitress was always a darling, but just something happened. And I think it was because you're watching this all day on TV. You might have known somebody that went through that stuff. Just being grateful that you're alive. And that it didn't maybe happen to you. And also too, the crazy thing is, we were talking about this too, like, people, it was on the news. They said in Donaldson, they could not believe the positivity of these people. People that at 8 a.m. went outside and said, "Oh, my house is gone." They couldn't believe like the positivity. And it's because, you can replace shit. You can replace a house. You can replace all your stuff. You just can't replace people. So a lot of people, I think, were just very grateful and blessed that they survived it. And that I think that kind of energy was around the city today. Just kind of it's a hard thing to go through, but also a beautiful thing to see. I think people coming together, and I don't know, it's what makes Nashville so strong and beautiful.
Dude, absolutely, man. And I think, another reason why this hits the two of us so hard is because, obviously our hearts go out to the citizens of Donaldson and Hermitage, Mount Juliet, on up
east,
all the way into Wilson County and all the other affected counties. Even like the FedEx hub it's in one of those cities. The reason why it hits us so hard is because the exact businesses and areas of East Nashville that it hit are places that we frequent often, that, we know the owners of them. We've frequented those businesses often. We've been to shows at the Basement East, which is in my opinion, one of our best local live music venues, and it's destroyed right now. I'm sure they have insurance to bring it back, but it's going to be several months. There's a lot of concerts that are displaced. There's a lot of bands that are trying to figure out, if you think about the repercussions of all the lost, income for the bartenders there, for the owners, for the bands that have to redirect, just all these things that are so close to our heart that we really care about, seeing them destroyed in real time, and just the amount of empathy that comes out of that is really like, it's extra devastating. It would be devastating for anything, but the fact that it hit in our favorite part of town with artists that we care about, with businesses that we frequent and have an emotional attachment to, it's just that much more crazy.
Absolutely. Especially the Basement East. I think a lot of people were talking about that on the news. And the Basement East made national headlines today. My father called me, was asking me, do I go there a lot? Shit, I was just there on Valentine's Day.
That's right.
And then we were just there a month before that, seeing one of our, just a fucking amazing show.
Yeah.
And, with the whole 615 movement, it was, we were always trying to protect places like that from different things. You really, it's so crazy to look at it now. And it's like, God, I wish we could protect it from fucking natural disasters. And to see it go, it's such a weird metaphor.
Yeah.
But it will be back. It'll be back better than ever. And, they know, the guys over there know that if they need anything, we'll be there to help.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I know, we were talking about this off, before we hit the record button, that like today is a day, by the way, you're listening to this, in retrospect. So today is March 3rd. Today, March 3rd of when it actually happened, is a day of like coming to terms with it, just really wrapping your head around what actually happened, because all of us, the entire city of Nashville, it feels like every single citizen is like, how can I help? I'm ready to go right now. I'll drop everything, which is awesome, man. And that's what makes Nashville so special. But at the same time, a lot of these business owners are like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know where to direct you. I don't know the amount of financial support we need. I don't know the amount of cleanup that we need. There could be a broken gas line. There could be live power lines down. It's best right now. I think that's what a lot of us are feeling the push-pull effect of, is like, you want to jump in, but it's not safe at the moment.
Right. And to go on with that too, this is how amazing our city is, and this is how amazing and strong our community is. It's so funny. Just like you probably woke up and you got just, I don't know, all these mixed texts, just a tower of missed texts and say, are you okay? Are you okay? And so that was coming from a lot of our out of town family and people that saw it on the news. And then, I started texting people I know that live in East, people I know live in Hermitage and the places it hit. And then I started getting texts, immediately from like musician friends, and they were just like, what can we do to help? I was like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. And then that sparked me, and then I started talking to my wife, okay, well, what can we do? Because we weren't affected by it.
Yeah,
I mean, physically,
right,
emotionally, yes, of course, but what can we do to help? And tomorrow we're all going out and we're going to put on our work gloves, grab a shovel, and we're going to help clean up East Nashville. And it's like, it's going to be like that for the next couple months. And just to see the community come together, people asking if you're okay. And then what's the next step? How can we go in and help clean this place up? Yeah. And that is just such a magical, lack of a better word, vibe of this city. Like this is how important Nashville is to us and how much we love it. And it's such a beautiful thing to be a part of.
No, it's crazy, man. For my wedding, we had the welcome party at the Edley's in East Nashville, right on Main Street there. Or not on Main Street, but on Woodland. And, one of the prominent images in the news today was the Edley's delivery truck from that East Nashville location turned over in front of the Fieldhouse Jones Hotel right across from there, too. And so it's so crazy to see, that Edley's wasn't completely leveled, but it had severe damage to it. Specifically, that outdoor porch where we had that welcome party. So to see it like... 4 years later, I think I bring that up because things like this bring up memories like that, where you're like, man, I've had a significant event in my life take place there, and now look at it. It's just like the impermanence of it is let me rephrase that. How events like this remind you of the impermanence of things is significant. And I think if you take the time to really feel what you feel and mourn through this, I think that's the biggest lesson that always arises from things like this.
100%.
And, I wanted to touch on this too, man, because 2020 has been such a fucking interesting year because that direct lesson has been like the theme so far, especially with Kobe Bryant, man. Like, he was, like you talked about in the That's What I'm Talking About episode, man, this larger than life figure who had a successful basketball career, who went on to kill it in business and was this, seemingly untouchable icon, and then goes down in the helicopter crash. One thing I was thinking today, man, Nashville was on a similar trajectory. Obviously, we didn't win an NBA title, or it's not a single person, but as a city, we've been getting a lot of fame in the past few years.
We made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of nowhere, yeah.
Right, yeah. And, yeah, no shit. And, but even as a city, we're coveted as like one of the top 5 places to move. Yep. The real estate market is so hot. And then right when you think we're in this untouchable city, now, we get this F3 tornado that touches down in the city, which has not happened, since 1998, over 2 decades ago. And it's like, it's humbling, man. It's like, I'm not trying to read too much into stuff, but it's interesting that theme of impermanence and like not getting too comfortable with thinking you're untouchable or on top of things has been a weird kind of theme of the year. So
I 100% agree with that, man. When we were at the lunch, I was talking to my wife Chrissy about it, and I just said, there's a reason for this, and there's definitely a 2020 theme with this for sure.
Totally.
And I was just like, if anything, like if not going too deep into it, it's just all the shit we worry about, like you were talking about. It really doesn't fucking matter, man. Here's some things you probably should worry about. Maybe like loving your people better, holding them tighter, and just being grateful and thankful that you do exist and you're living and you're going after things you want and you're making it okay. Like that's a great thing. And when something like this happens, it's just like you're right. It's that impermanence, man. Like it could all be taken away at any time, and you can't prepare for it. So it's just love your people, man. Hold them tighter and just be grateful you're here and just, be a good person.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man.
we were also talking too. I mean, I'm from Northeast Ohio, and I've never lived through a natural disaster up there. You're from Portland. I don't think you had yet. And since you and I have been down here, we have lived through two. We've lived through the 2010 flood, which was very devastating, and then now this 2020 tornado, and it's bonkers because I had never experienced a flood. That was a crazy time. Then experiencing this tornado too, it's just, it goes to show that nothing's predictable. Anything can happen, and just a fucking wow, is it crazy? It's just fucking crazy, dude.
I know, it is crazy, man. And what's wild about that is like it just started feeling in the past 3 years that like the city fully recovered from that flood. Totally. And it's like bounced back, and now like we're getting it, and then you get another setback with the tornado, and I know like like you said at the end of the beginning of the episode, we will totally rebuild, man. Nashville has a ton of talented people living here that can honestly, like, not to minimize the disaster, but like it's manageable. Like with the amount of talent that we have here, like we'll come back. It's going to be okay. Just like it was with the flood. But at the same time, man, it's like, it's just gotta, technically I'm a word transplants here, but we feel like we're just connected. Like we've been here all the time. It's got to get exhausting for the people. It's like we're putting all this effort into rebuilding, and then like who knows like when the next thing is going to come through. But what I was also thinking about too is, for all the natural disasters that we've had here that are manageable, coming from Oregon, there's a looming natural disaster that we have to learn about in high school, because if it ever happens, which it's at risk to happen at any time, would be like beyond devastating. And so if any of you are familiar with the Oregon coast, there's a tectonic plate that is moving underneath the Oregon coast. It's called the Juan de Fuca plate. We have to learn about it in high school because it's that big of a deal.
Can you use it in a sentence?
It's tectonic plates, as you know, kind of like they move under the Earth's crust, and it's kind of looks like a slow moving dough roller that's kind of going under the continent. So anyway, this particular tectonic plate is at risk to slip at any time, and if it slips, the entire like half state of Oregon is gonna go under the ocean in in just a moment's notice. So that, going back to the perspective theme earlier, it's like, yeah, we've had some crazy shit here in Nashville, but it's it's devastating. It sucks. People lose their lives. It's terrible. But like on the scheme of things, man, our entire planet is really fucking unstable for like in the scheme of things. And if you think, about a tectonic plate disaster where you could just be sitting here and then bop, like under the ocean, like that, it's just wild to me, man.
Do they do anything to like, I mean, I'm sure they've been prepping for this moment and they don't know when it's going to hit, but like what's, is there like a plan? Is there like would they know?
There's like, what's crazy about growing up in the Northwest, man, is like you might not experience a lot of natural disasters on a fairly regular basis, like every 20 years or whatever. But like if it does go off, it's huge. So like the last one that's famous out in the Northwest is the Mount St. Helens eruption. Yeah. And I believe that was mid 80s, I think. Yeah. And that was insane. And now, Mount Hood, I think which is the one that was like an hour away from where I grew up in Portland, I think is at risk to go to, or it might be a dead volcano. I don't know, but there's fucking volcanoes out there is what I'm getting at. It's like, so your option A is a fucking tectonic plate can drop half the state into the ocean, or you can have a fucking major huge ass volcano explode and go into the city. So it's just like, pick your fucking poison, dude. Would you rather have like, an F3 tornado every 20 years touchdown plus a flood, or do you want like volcanoes and fucking tectonic plates?
Jesus. God, being from Cleveland, like the biggest disaster is to watch the Browns lose. I mean, shit. That's God, that's crazy, man.
No, it's wild, dude. But our whole planet is like that, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get into the show, but before we do, I definitely want to just give you guys a few outreach programs that are out there right now. If you guys are listening and you are in Nashville, Here's a few things that are going on that's trying to help the community. Right now, we've got the NashvilleStores.com. They're selling their shirt, We Believe in Nashville. 100% of all those proceeds are going to people who suffered from the tornado. Right now, it's crazy. They've raised already over $100,000. Amazing. You can go to NashvilleStores.com for that. Starting tomorrow, and probably will be going on for the next couple of weeks, it's the East Nasty Cleanup. It's going to start at 6 p.m. You're going to meet on 11th and Holly. Basically, how they describe it is grab your shovels, work gloves, and toed shoes, and they're going to get to work and start cleaning up. The Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee has activated an emergency fund. You can go to their Facebook page and donate to them. All the money, of course, is going to go to the victims. American Red Cross has stepped in, and they're going to be they're asking for blood donations, which is important. And also, the Community Resource Center of Middle Tennessee is accepting donations. Also, hygiene products, cleaning supplies, trash bags, gloves, box cutters, you name it. You can visit their website. That is communityresourcecenter.middletennessee.gov. And there's also an impromptu water drive at the Centennial Sportsplex. That is where a lot of people who lost their home, we're housing them right now. You can go there, donate gallons of water to cases of water. So please, if you live around that area or feeling you want to donate, water is important, obviously. You need it to live. Please feel free to donate. That'd be very helpful. I also thought this was cool. If you are helping in East Nashville, the Grilled Cheesery is going to be handing out free hot meals to those who have suffered through the tornado or those who are volunteering to help. So you can get fed as you're there too. So guys, please come out. We know you're already we know you're already there. That's what makes our community so strong and our city so great. So we love you. And once again, our hearts and prayers go out to everyone who has suffered from this just terrible tragedy. And just know that we're with you. We're definitely with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Hands On Nashville is a good resource to keep track of like organized cleaning events too, and that's HON.org. So Hands On Nashville, abbreviated HON.org. So yeah.
All right, folks.
And then if you don't live in Nashville, I know you have empathy for this too. So thanks for listening to us on that.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And thanks for all the friends and family who reached out to us too, man. That means a lot, and we appreciate hearing from you. It's funny. You hear, we were talking about it, just a lot of people blast from the past. It's amazing when something so tragic happens. You kind of hear from people that maybe you didn't talk to in 15 years, but it's always nice to hear from them. And thank you guys for doing that. We appreciate the love. All right, Villain Arts Convention, Cleveland 2020. Woo! Epic adventure. Mr. Macro, how we feeling?
Good, man. So backstory, if you didn't know, or if you didn't listen to the 6-1 Vibe, whatever backstory podcast, I guess we'll call it. We had a decision to make at the end of last year when we were doing our planning meeting. Our buddy Mark McLaughlin, who's a tattoo artist out of Cleveland, basically made a design for us that we loved, and then just got the idea to, we were searching events to do around the country that we could do to kind of boost our pop-up game this year, and Steve saw that the Villain Arts was going to come to Music City Center. Well, upon further researching Villain Arts, they're actually a huge Expo player in the tattoo game. They're one of like 3 of the biggest ones in the entire country. They themselves, I think, put on like 30, 40 expos in all the major cities per year. And then there's about 2 or 3 other companies that make up the rest that are all, there's Hell City in Columbus. That's like a really big one. And then a few more. Anyway, we were thinking about doing the one in Nashville, but it's a high entrance fee. It's the first year here. There's a lot of risk. The design with Mark comes to us, and it's like, wow, holy shit, there's a Villain Arts Expo in Cleveland. How fucking perfect would it be to release Mark's design in Cleveland, where Steve is, fairly from, 45 minutes south of, and, break into a new market up there. Crunch the numbers, decided it was worth it. We go up there. It's a fucking experience and a half. We've never done an expo on this scale before. This is massive, dude. I'm talking about 2 times the size of a Costco. 400 vendors at this, which come to find out is like not even half the size of the Philadelphia one, which is over 1,000 vendors. So holy fuck there. But we there's so much to cover on this. I guess we should. That's the backstory. Now we'll go with now you're on board. Now let's take you to the train station.
So we decide we're going to the Cleveland that I love, the Believe Land, the Hard Rock capital. And man, it was I think when the decision was made, we were all like, okay, fuck yeah, let's do it. We did it. And we knew we were taking a chance. We but I think like one of our old podcast guests once said, very intelligently, you have to risk it for the biscuit. So we decided, okay, we're going to risk it for the biscuit. And of course, Kevin and I, if you guys don't, for those of you who don't know us personally, we like... we'll go on a budget, okay? We will, but we're kind of expensive. Our wives had the conversation and both agreed that we could be kind of expensive. We like to do things first class or we don't go.
Yeah.
So, of course, instead of maybe... it probably would have made sense to take both of our cars up. We rented a jet black Yukon XL, probably the nicest vehicle I've ever been in my entire life.
Yeah, now to say, my vehicle's well over 100,000 miles. Steve's, I don't know how many miles you have on it, but...
Yeah, but it doesn't hold much.
It doesn't. So, yes, we went luxury on the rental vehicle. We're bougie as fuck. But hey, whatever, dude. It helps with the vibe, man. If you're in it to win it, you better show up like a fucking pro is how I, approach it. And honestly, in hindsight, all the fucking parking nightmares and logistics with that shit, having to do that with 2 cars, it was a nightmare with just the Yukon, dude. If we had to do that with both of us and have to split the load in to both the cars, what a fucking nightmare. So I'm gonna say that one was a win. Totally. Yes, and just for anyone out there, I know I'm getting super defensive, but it's just the way I am. I looked at the fucking shitty ass U-Haul vans. I looked at like the 12 passenger shit. It was more than what the Yukon actually wound up with. So yeah. And dude, shameless plug, if you guys are thinking about the 2019 Yukon Denali, insane fucking gas mileage, dude. It can flex depend on your speed between if it activates a V8 engine or a V4, or it can go all the way down to like a 3, dude. It'll adjust the cylinders that it uses based on how fast you're going. So our gas mileage was fucking astronomical. It was insane. It's better than my car right now.
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. And I kept telling my parents we were on our way up because we did stop and see Rick and Rose for a nice home-cooked dinner the night before. We didn't really drive up there. I feel like we just floated. It was more of a float. I mean, Kevin was going 90 at one point, and I'm always like, God, are we going like 25? Like, it was crazy how beautiful this thing rode.
You can't feel it. Yeah.
It's a magic carpet.
We both agreed after 3 12-hour days and lugging our shit like fucking 600 yards or whatever it was. It was, okay, not 600. It was at least 200 yards. It was at least 2 football fields to lug our heavy ass fucking shit back into this thing. To sit down in those plush ass captain seats, dude, you don't want to be in another vehicle at the end of a weekend like that. You don't want to do it.
No, you really don't. And I like this. I like how we're talking about this because this is our first out of state convention, a weekend gig that was huge. I mean, like Kevin said, I mean, it's 420,000 square feet of convention space. This place is huge. I think rule number 1, travel in style.
Definitely travel in style. Because, dude, you're going to be feeling like shit. You're going to be ragged. It's very stressful.
Yep.
The place that you come back to, you want it to be put together and feel nice.
Yeah. If you have to do the 2 cars, if your 2 cars can make it, that's fine. If not, I like I said, just ride in style. Number 2, make the playlist.
Make the playlist.
Because it's just like, before a big football game, man. You're in the locker room, you're huddling up with the team, like everyone's jamming in their headphones during like that moment. You got to psych yourself up. You got to make that playlist. That is setting the vibe the whole entire way up. And we also, I mean, I'm gonna plug this game that I didn't really invent, but is the best road trip game. So here's for all you people who have to travel a long time to travel to these conventions. Here's a little secret.
Yeah, take notes on this, seriously.
I call it A to Z. Okay. Basically what you do is you start with the letter A, you pick a topic. Our topic was bands or artists, like musical artists or people who do music. It could be a musician, I think, too. and you start with A, and you just play tennis back and forth. How many A's can you get? Aerosmith, Alice in Chains, Amos Lee, Alice Cooper, whatever. You just keep going. I shit you not. How many hours did that kill?
We averaged probably close on some letters. We covered 50 miles going back and forth. I mean, it was over an hour easily. On like the A's, even just the A's, we had to call it a draw because we were like, we got to move on to B. We've been going for fucking ever.
Exactly.
Try it with a friend, even if you're bored, man. Just say one person picks a band that starts with A, next person. You just ping pong back and forth. Dude, you'll be fucking mind blown.
You'll be mind blown. It also brings out the funniest shit ever because you're going through whatever topic you're on. You're like, your mind is going and you just dig so much shit out of your ass. And just some of the band names that you come up with, some of them aren't even real. You're just like, say shit and it just creates laughter and a good time, a good energy in the car. I think, started at like Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I think we stopped at Columbus.
Easily at Columbus.
Yeah, maybe even a little past Columbus. And we were like on letter, I don't know, H or something.
Yeah, we got all the way up to P by the end of the entire trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still got to finish that game.
Still have to. But it's like Jumanji. This shit can last for 45 fucking years.
That's it. And then when you're done with the game, you put that playlist back on and you just ride into your destination. That's it.
That's good. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so we did that, stopped home, got to see mom and dad. That was great. Had a home cooked meal. Because you know what? It's like that Last Supper, man. It's like you got to get it in right before. We weren't nervous. We were more excited.
Yeah.
I personally have never been. I've been to Cleveland thousands of times. Never been to the convention. Never been on that side. We were. Anyways, we get up there. Beautiful. The convention center is just right on Lake Erie. Nice view of the Brown Stadium. We stayed at the Westin Hotel. Great accommodations. It was awesome. Here's rule number 3. Parking and figuring out. It's not even a rule. This is just knowledge for you. Your parking situation at these conventions, if it's the first time you're going, it's just going to suck. It's going to suck. You're going to get there, but it's going to suck. Am I right?
No, absolutely. Word to the wise, if any of you are doing expos, fucking directly email whoever's putting on the event and say, where's the loading dock? And don't just let them say it's at the corner of blah, blah, blah. You want detailed instructions. When you can get into the loading dock, what space you'll be in. I mean, that's where, if ever there was like a fail, we wasted a fucking hour. We got there so early. We were so fucking proud of ourselves. By the time we finally got into the loading dock, we're like, fuck, we're scrambling.
Oh yeah, we weren't fucking around. We did. We got there early. Yeah, we're like, okay, no, man, we're gonna make sure we get in. The whole plan was to check, unload the stuff in the convention, have plenty of time to check it in the hotel. Now it all worked out.
Totally,
it did.
Yeah.
But it was a scramble. It was a little bit of a screw job. And you're right. Kevin's right, man. Whoever's in charge, detailed. Know exactly where that loading garage is because, we did more laps than Mario Andretti just trying to figure out where the fuck that thing was.
Totally. We had to talk to, shout out to Phyllis in whatever parallel universe. If you find this somehow and you're listening to this, Phyllis, you're the shit. Because, dude, let's talk about the first guy. We pull up to the main entrance of the convention center. Steve's like, I got this, man. I'll go in. I'll figure it out. We'll be fine. Goes in, talks to this guy that goes on a rampage about God knows what. Tells us literally every fucking wrong detail of where to go. And so Steve doesn't know this at the time. He comes back out of the car. He's like, hey, man, I got it. I got the thing. Dude, we're fucking lost as shit. We go to we literally go a whole floor below where we're supposed to go, lugging some heavy shit, trying to walk around, completely lost. We're like, okay, I think this guy is full of shit. Long story short, we find this sweet angel of a lady, Phyllis, who says, no, that dude's completely full of shit. Here's what you got to do. She's like, pull out your phone. Let me give you the notes. And I'll give you details on how to get to the loading dock. Now, I still fucked that up, too. It took another fucking half an hour to try to find where she was actually talking about.
We both did.
Yeah.
We both listened to her.
Totally. But it's confusing as shit, like, if you've never been to that city before.
Yeah.
There's more one-ways in Cleveland than I've seen in the downtown in a long time.
It's screwy.
If you make the wrong left, you're not allowed to make another left for a good 3-4 blocks.
Yeah, and going back to that guy, I'm a pretty good read on people, but this guy was amazing. He was so confident in being wrong that I was like, touche to this guy. He fooled me.
Genuine bullshitter.
Just genuine bullshitter. Been doing it for years. Seasoned vet. But the guy that I mentioned, because I said we were from Nashville, biggest mistake I ever made. I mean, that was
like, I want to fuck with you.
I think that was even before I said hello. He was like, "Oh, where are you coming from?" I was like, "Nashville." He goes, 20-minute conversation about his trip to Nashville, and he was, I don't know, telling me some pretty like racist stories. Like it was just, and I had to sit there and just listen. So not only are you giving me wrong information, but you're going to fill up my mind with just racism and stereotypes. And I'm like, yeah, I got to get out of here. But Phyllis, a beautiful, wonderful African-American woman, if you ever run into her at the Huntington Convention Center, just give her a big old squeeze and hug, and she will guide you to the promised land, man. She was fantastic. Thank you so much, Phyllis.
So Phyllis gives the deets. We fucking figure it out, finally. We get to the right place. We pull into our parking spot in the loading dock, thinking like, it's just a short little haul. Like, we're right there. Nah, man, it's another full fucking football field length. And at that time, Steve and I look at each other and we're like, we don't have a fucking cart. All these motherfuckers are pulling up in trailers with their collapsible carts and they're just pro as shit. I'm like, our rookie is showing so fucking bad right now.
There it is. Rule 4.
Yeah.
If you're doing an out-of-state convention and you have more shit than you can actually carry in one trip, invest in a collapsible or portable cart or some device, some wheeled device that will make your life easier, because we were lugging some shit around. I mean, I'll tell you this. We didn't go to the gym that day. Definitely got a workout in.
Definitely did. Just hauling shit.
But you do look like a bunch of people that, like this is your first time? Obvious. We laugh about it now, though.
We do. So to continue the story, it gets better. It gets
way better.
We walk in there, you see these nice, inked up females that look like, oh man, these girls will totally be cool. Like they'll be so nice and accommodating and like happy to see us and like will totally like give us some directions and be super helpful. They cannot be more fucking stone faced and get the fuck out of my face vibe towards you than they were.
You would have thought they were like your girlfriend and they knew you were cheating on them. Like they hated you. Like it was rough. And that's the face. That's the front desk. That is the first people you meet. And we're already fucking tired of the parking extravaganza, tired from lugging all our shit. Then, we thought we were going to be greeted, like Kev said, with like maybe some halos and smiles. No, it was just straight like, get the fuck out of my face. You're worthless. I hate you.
Yes. And so we find out our booth and we walk through, and that for me was the first time that I was like, holy fuck, this is on another level. Because, dude, we've just done local events here. And excuse me, personally, I've never been to a major tattoo convention that's on a level like Villain Arts is, which, come to find out, talking to a lot of the artists there, Villain Arts, plus like a couple other companies out there, these are like the Super Bowls of tattoo conventions. If you're at the top of the game as a tattooer, you're going to these and pulling down major cash because it's very well known that only the best artists show up to these things, and people show up, they show out. It's a big deal. We're, so on the positive side, we're one of like 6 apparel companies out of 345 vendors there, right? So only 6 are apparel companies. Well, the other 5 outside of us are so deeply rooted and fucking famous in the tattoo game that like it's like impossible to compete with them. They're fucking behemoths. So we get to our booth and we're still excited, man. We set up, everything's fucking looking cool. It's good. And we finally get a chance to relax, right? So we're fast forwarding everything. We, after a million fucking trips back and forth to the rental and in, we get settled. We move the car, we get checked in, we walk back to the hotel change, get back to the convention center. Now our tent's set up. We have everything there. We're in our spot. We're armed and ready. Mom spaghetti. What are we doing now?
So then we're just kind of waiting for the doors to open. We see a little bit of a line forming. And, Kevin and I, we're used to these kind of smaller events that we do locally here. And, you're used to kind of people, when they pass, everyone kind of stops and says, hey. I mean, we are in the South. It's very friendly around here. One thing is, we're in Cleveland. People don't want to get bothered. So like it's a whole different thing when you're in Nashville. I mean, someone's just gonna come up to you say hello. I mean, up there it just doesn't happen. So these, I will say this: when we did before they let people in, Kevin and I did a great thing, and I do recommend everyone do this. Go around to every single table that's close to you, at least within arm's reach or whatever. Be nice, be friendly, introduce yourself, make yourself known, and just kind of create that early relationship. You're about to spend 3 days with these people. It's the same people, and everyone's going through the same shit as you. It's busy, it's crazy, it's loud, it's nuts, and just make sure you're kind of, this is your team. It kind of is. It's kind of like, these are people that you're going to battle with. So we did that. Then they kind of started letting people in, and we met Mark. I mean, before that, we met Uncle Mark.
Yeah, which was cool. We were so in fucking focus mode that it was like, hey, what's up, man? All right, come on in. Like, we're kind of in that like drive mode. But that was. But I thought that first meeting went great, man.
First meeting was great.
We met him at the bottom of the escalator, like a very romantic rom-com kind of thing.
Super rom-com.
He came down in this angelic kind of faded background, like presentation.
Oh, yeah.
We gave him the bro hug. We were ready to go.
Had an awkward handshake at first. I think I tried to shake his left hand with my right. Then it was a right to the left. And then we just ended up hugging. It was like, this is easier, right? I think he had some stuff. It was a great, great cinematic moment. But Kevin was right. We tend to get in game mode pretty quick. So, although it was a warm embrace, we're just like, let's go.
Yeah. And so we come back, Mark is set up. He's got some prints available for sale, and he's done a beautiful job. You can tell he's like premeditated, like how he wants everything to kind of be presented. And this dude is a great just visual artist, man, whether it be tattoos or drawing on paper or, painting on canvas. He even does like metal smithing, like grinding metal into like different shapes and stuff. Anyway, so his, we gave him like the whole left side of our 6-foot table that was, in front of the tent. And it was set up beautifully. And so as he's set up there, we're kind of getting a feel for everything. And it turns out to be a really slow Friday. Normally when Steve and I set up at pop-up events, we're fucking killing like 30 minutes into it, and we're getting in the groove, feeling good. I'm checking the iPad, I'm like, yeah, man, sales are going well, feeling good, getting positive feedback. This Friday, dude, rough, man, super slow. We started to get bummed out, man.
There was an energy shift. And once again, like going back to what I said, when we do these pop events in Nashville, if no one is going to buy anything, at least there's a conversation, or at least they can walk away with a card. A lot of people up here, like Kev said, are very loyal to their, we did learn that, especially in the tattoo world, people are loyal to either their tattoo artist or their apparel, whatever they are. Mm-hmm. They don't change for nothing. Me being from that side of the world, I mean, all I got to say is Browns fans. I mean, there's a reason why it's some of the most loyal fans in the world. Even though they're the worst team, they don't care. They're not going to change. That's just who they are. So there's an energy shift. It's really slow. People are walking by. We're kind of expecting. We're saying hello. We're being very polite. Mm-hmm. Not getting the responses we want, and it had nothing to do with us. It was just maybe the types of people or whatever. But it was definitely a challenging first day.
Yeah, so what we're talking about right now, this is probably 2:33 in the afternoon. We've been up since 6 in the morning. We've already traveled from Akron to Cleveland, had our whole fucking fiasco that we just talked about. We're already physically a little burned out because of lugging our shit all over the place. And then we get slapped in the face with low sales and low engagement. Come to find out later in the weekend, it was slow for everyone on that particular Friday. And for a lot of people, it was slow the entire weekend. We'll get to that in a second. Luckily, things picked up for us. But that particular Friday was just slow. And it makes sense, man. I mean, it's 3 p.m. in Cleveland on a Friday. It's a working city. People are working, man. They're not like just out trying to have a good time. And all the vendors around us are like, yeah, dude, this is just Friday at these conventions. Like Saturday it'll be slam, Saturday will be slam, blah, blah, blah. Well, we're still standing there like, no, fuck. This is crazy, dude. Like all this investment, all this, like so much is on the line, and this is how we're fucking starting out. And so we end the day with a goose egg in sales, but it was good in terms of like networking with the people around us. And we got to get a lot of one-on-one time with Mark that first day, to the point that like we made the best of it.
We did, and that was a good thing too. Is everyone was saying, "Look, man, like it's going to be a slow day or whatever." We're not used to that, so it definitely took us a little time. Went back to the hotel, had ourselves a good night's sleep, woke up in the morning. Now we had an option. We had two options. We could either let what happened on Friday affect our whole entire trip. We could say, "Fuck this, dude. What are we doing? We made a mistake," or we can have the conversation we had in the hotel room. Well, Kevin and I went to the fucking gym, got up early, got a pump in, got a run in, came back to the hotel, blared that playlist that we tell you that's so important. And we just look at each other like, today's going to be fucking great. And we're going to go try new things. I think our thing was we're going to stand outside of the tent and we're just going to talk to every motherfucker that walks by.
Yeah, and we changed the presentation. We moved the racks a little bit more further out in the aisle so you could like see the stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Shifted little shifts like that, just a little audible in presentation, and then how we approach people. And then Saturday happened. Saturday's obviously a little bit busier. People don't work. People start coming through. It's about, 2:30, and we make that first sale. And that changed, I think, everything for us.
Yeah, totally, man. It's weird when that happened because there was a string of like 3, 4, 5 behind it. It's like, I don't know what it is, man. You call it whatever your belief system revolves around, but like there's definitely something that happens. Like when someone buys something from you, there's like an energy shift, and it's all of a sudden it's like people feel that, and then it's this like rush of kind of attention that comes onto you. And what's important about what Steve was saying earlier about like the mindset shift, because we went to bed. Well, dude, we were very exhausted from that Friday. So yeah, we were a little bummed that like Friday was slow, but I think overall, our level of exhaustion was just from the day, man. I mean, we've had, it's been a long point all the way up till then. And so, like you said, we woke up with a positive attitude. We got up earlier than we would have. We went to the gym. We got our minds right. We had our coffee. We came back. We said, hey, man, because here, this is what's missing from it too. Like for me personally, like seeing brands like Sullen Art Collective, which is a huge apparel brand, dude. Literally almost every artist one day out of the 3 days had a Sullen hoodie on or a shirt or something like that.
Floating around with those Sullen bags like they were just flags.
Yep.
And yeah.
And so the business lesson I want you guys to take away from this is, as a new brand, we're in the arena with big time players that we've never been up against before. And so, when we're doing these small pop-up events here in Nashville, we're the big fucking dude on campus. No one's seen our shit before. Walking into a major event like this with apparel brands that are like woven into the fabric of the industry, to even like present yourself there the way we present ourselves is very ballsy, for lack of a better word. And so that Saturday when we wake up and we come back from our workout, Steve and I are feeling positive. We're feeling pumped up. I say to Steve, I'm like, all right, man, there's big fucking apparel players in this game. We've never been up against that before. We're actually, for the first time, in competition with people, which we've never experienced directly. And I was like, we just have to play to our strengths and stay in our lane. We are, and this is 100% objective. This is not biased. We were the most original apparel brand in that building. No one else had the designs that we have. Everything was kind of like basic. It was just like just letters, but they were a name in the industry, so they sold very well. But for us to be new, to have the concept of bomb your boundaries, to have the symbolism in the designs that we have, it was definitely, we deserved to be there. We earned the right to be in the arena with them. But like before we went out that Saturday, I reminded Steve of what he's great at. I reminded myself of what I'm great at. And we focused on that. And we focused on the fact that we deserve to be there and that there's a reason that we showed up and put all this on the line to walk into the arena that day. So to show up with that energy shift, I think, it helped lead to that first sale. But then once we caught that momentum, I think it's just what I'm trying to get at, man, is keeping your mindset positive when you face a big setback like that is super important as an entrepreneur.
Yes. And I would say that's rule 5.
Yeah.
Is you're going to have those days, and it's probably the first day of any convention. Everyone always says it's going to be your slowest day. Mm-hmm. they tend to be on the Fridays. Fridays is a working day. So don't let it get you down. Keep a positive mindset and go in the next day even more fucking furious, more fucking gung-ho, and just be that fighter, man. We were like Kevin said, we were fucking David against all the Goliaths.
Yeah.
And what I like, what Kev took away too, and this is nothing on Sullen.
Not at all. They're great fucking company.
Great fucking company. But when you would walk by their tent, and this is going to go to rule number 6 that I think is very important. When you go by their tables and tent, and they had, I don't know, 6 spaces. We had 1. Everyone that was working there sat down.
Yes.
Unapproachable. And for me, I just think when someone is just sitting there, it just says, I don't care. Yes. I don't care about what I'm selling. They could have been brand ambassadors that were just hired on the spot and just didn't give a fuck and was just there to get a paycheck. That's fine. But when Kev's like, we got to stand and we got to go out there. Well, that changed some shit for us. And so I think rule number 5, 6, don't sit. Do not sit. Be proud of what you're representing. Stand. Be approachable. Engage with your audience because it does help. When you're just sitting there, I don't know. There is just like that physical energy that just says, yeah, okay. But when you're out and engaging people, I don't know, some people want to be talked to. They want to know that you're proud of your shit and you're excited for them to buy it. So once we changed that, we got that first sale, it just flowed. A little bit of domino effect.
Yeah, it did. And we said before we left the hotel that day, we're talking to every motherfucker that walks by there. I don't care who the fuck it is. You're saying hi. You're making you're making eye contact. You're at least giving them a compliment about the shirt they have on. If they have a button on their jacket of a band that you love, say you love the fucking jacket. Start the conversation. And it worked, man. We were. It didn't come off obnoxious. We were just highly engaged. And for the whole 30 hours we were on our feet, we probably sat for 5 minutes of that, which is super important.
Yes.
And so I'm circling back on your point there. To be overly engaged like that, no one was put off by it. Everyone appreciates that.
Yeah, we weren't mall bodegas trying to sell you the ointments and creams.
No, just saying what's up, giving genuine compliments, and if the conversation comes up, it was engaging that way. But yeah, to go around to some of these bigger brands and see how the entitlement sinks in, how the hunger and the fight dies down. That's something that we talked about. We never want to lose, man. Even when we get to a point where it's in the budget to hire brand ambassadors, they're going to go through a rigorous process on the interview side of things where it's like, you're not sitting down. You got to have the hunger and you have to be there, because we went past a brand, I won't mention them, but they didn't have, well, fine, I'll mention it because whatever. The Fuck It people.
Yeah.
Their brand's called Fuck It, which whatever, dude. You walk past their booth, whoever they had, it wasn't the owner because I follow him on Instagram and that guy wasn't there, but whoever they had working that booth was either never around, or he was standing so far off to the side, almost to the back into the other vendor's booth on his fucking phone, that I was like, dude, if we had a slow weekend, I guarantee you didn't make shit. Yeah. It's just, it's just crazy to see. So what we're getting at here is if you have a clothing brand, or if you have an essential oil brand, or whatever the fuck that you might show up to an expo on, it's very, very important to stand your ground and be highly engaging the entire time. It's going to be exhausting. Your feet are going to hurt. It's going to suck. Yep. You're going to dude, but literally stand your ground and stay in the fight till the end, because that's what we're getting to when we switch to day 3 on Sunday, about how important that is. But
absolutely.
But yeah, that was the biggest takeaway from that second day is okay, we're up against big boys, but the big boys are comfortable. They don't see us fucking coming, and that's our advantage.
Exactly. That's the Mamba attack, dude.
It is.
I just want to throw in a quick humorous rule for all you people. Now that you know that you can't sit and you should probably stand and engage, wear comfortable shoes. Steve Lester goes out, buys himself before the convention, because Kevin and I are both, I think, style before comfort. I bought myself a $70 pair of all black Vans, and not the comfortable skater ones, man. I'm talking just the flat foot, whatever. I thought they looked cool. Worst decision I made. Yeah, they look cool. Feet were killing me. Which will lead into Sunday. I got to wear my obnoxious orange Nikes. Best day of my life. It was great. It was just fantastic. Yeah, with the joggers. So just wear comfortable shoes, and please don't sit down. Be proud of what you're selling.
Seriously, man, it's 3 days. You're there to put on the show, man. Like when you get back to your brick and mortar store, then you know, if your employees are slacking off and on their phone and sitting down or whatever. But when you're in the game, dude, stay in the game. That's one thing. I'm still kind of like, kind of blown away by that. I'm like, dude, if you're one of these big brands, I would be out there just dominating the place, dude.
Yeah.
Like not just sitting back being comfortable. Like, yeah, it is what it is, man. It's going to happen if it happens. No.
Yeah.
And so...
and another thing we started noticing, I think, on Saturday, once the sales were being made, Kevin had a great idea of, we used to, I think, just kind of, I don't know, we would give black bags like that. We would just had solid black bags. Those are kind of our colors. And we would just hand them to people after we made a sale. We actually changed it up, did brown paper bags, with a nice handle with our stamp, our logo stamp, right? 3 sides, on the bottom and on both sides. Now, what I thought was great and what I started noticing is when we start getting these sales, those people are literally walking around in front of everybody with your logo, just waving around the sea of people like a flag. And that attracted people. That's free promotion. So label your bags, or however you sell stuff, label it. People see it. People see it. And it's just free promotion.
Yeah, man. And I think whether you're building a brand or trying to be a substantial band, the details matter, man. How people experience you for the first time and how they leave you is just as important. So if I walk you through a typical sale at a Bombers and Sleeves pop-up event, it goes like this. You're greeted by one of us who own the company. We have an engaging, genuine, real conversation with you. We share in your excitement about our items because it means a lot to us. If you give us a compliment on the design, we'll give you a backstory on where it kind of comes from and engage in like the connection there. So you're already feeling connected off the bat. When we pull it out of the bins, they're folded in nice like poly-wrapped plastic. We put it into that custom bag that has a stamp on it. Get your email. Shake your hand personally. Thank you for caring about our brand. Wish you the best. And then you walk off with a nice feeling, custom bag with a nice shirt in there. It's not, a wrinkled shirt that's plopped in a trash bag and now you're on your way. It makes a world of difference, even subconsciously to that particular person, even if they don't realize it, that their interaction from you from start to finish, and even after they go on with their lives, now almost 2 weeks later, that like we're still with them. That experience doesn't leave them. And so the level to which you can connect with your audience base, right down to the packaging, it's just like Apple, man. Like when you get that new iPhone and you open up that packaging, it's just so fucking detailed and crisp. Like you don't forget that. And the next time you go back, it's like, it's built into the fabric of the brand. So whatever that means for you, take that into consideration, man, because it goes a long way.
Absolutely. And the hours, honestly, the hours it took, I think, to put all those shirts into the poly, It was always fun. It was always fun. You play that playlist and you do it. And it does go a long way because out of all the other apparel brands that were there, you would notice when there was a sale made, it's just thrown in a bag. Here you go. Thanks for the $30. Mm-hmm. With that, I mean, we wanted to make it, I think, where you would undo the poly. And that shirt was so crisp, you could put it on right then and there if you wanted to. You can't do that with a wrinkled shirt that's thrown in a ball in a bag. So it's just the little details. You're right. From packaging to the introduction to your guest or your customer to the goodbye to the post sale, it all matters. And those are people that come back to you. Mm-hmm. Those are people that become your loyal. We like to call them light bill loyals, but they come back to you every time because they never forget that first interaction with you.
Yeah, and that means they'd rather buy your new shirt or whatever you dropped than pay their light bill. And you know what? I have been that loyal to other brands in my life. And
me too.
I would love if people are that loyal to us because we put the work in, man. Like Steve said, we personally folded all of those shirts and packed them in those poly bags. I personally stamped every single fucking bag 3 times. That's over like 300 stamps on 100, bags and stuff. So, and I'm not complaining about that. I love it, man. Going through that experience, I remember, I was up at like past midnight stamping the last of those bags before we left. And with each stamp across the bag, I just imagine like what person would be taking that away, what they would feel with that bag, what they would feel about our brand, like what they're going to tell to like propel us forward. And that right there, man, is something that's so exciting about starting a business and building a brand, is that like these ground level days are super important, man. Yes, they're grueling. Yes, there's a lot of when will this take off? Is this resonating with anyone? Kind of questions. But then like when you're really like, up at the wee hours, hand stamping bags that are going to be taken away by people that like really truly connect with your brand on a grassroots level, is like, there's just something so cool about that, man.
Yeah, I think that's what Kobe was talking about when he had that quote about what is the actual dream. And it's not the success, it's not the fame, it's not the championships. It's waking up at 5 a.m. and taking those practice shots when other people aren't doing it. Mm-hmm. For us, it's putting these fucking hours in to fold shit and fold our clothes in poly bags up till midnight the day before we're leaving, stamping stuff. It's whatever, because we know that that's the extra step to make us successful. That's the dream right there. It's just doing little things like that. Totally. And so I always love that. Gonna shift here too real quick. I thought it was hilarious. So here's a little comical thing. Mom and Dad, Rosemary and Rick, surprised us that Saturday.
Yeah,
and it was a beautiful.
That's Steve's mom and dad.
That's my mom and dad. I just call them mom and dad. They surprised us. Rule number whatever we're on, I'm going to tell you right now. Don't take your parents to a tattoo convention.
They had a great time.
No, they had a great time. Their minds were very blown. I think the first 10 minutes of them walking through, they probably saw 8 to 9 pairs of titties just being tattooed, and
that's hilarious right there.
Yeah, it's just great. It's great. And so for me to kind of show them around a little bit, and they're just like, oh, there's another set of titties, and right over here we've got another set of titties. Was just hilarious.
Got a full ass and muff shot over here.
Full ass and muff shot.
Yeah, she's doing that whole corner of the labia piece, getting it touched up. It's fine. She doesn't matter. She doesn't care if
it's
there's
art. It's
300
art.
fucking people walking by her. It's cool, man. Shit's got to get done. I'm getting a discount.
Exactly. But I'll tell you what, it meant a lot to me, and I thought it was awesome that they came. And you know what? They fucking enjoyed themselves. They had a great time. It's so cool to see people, and Kevin, I think, noticed this too. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on these tattoo conventions. I knew it was going to be a circus. I knew it's crazy. It's a whole culture of creative people who express themselves. There's not a lot of clothing. People aren't afraid to be naked. It's a lot of face tattoos, which I think face tattoos has become just the new norm.
Well, you know what? By the time we walked out of that convention, I was like, why don't I have a fucking face tattoo? I feel out of place, man.
I was working one up in my head. But it was really cool to see how they kind of interacted with everything and got a lot of joy out of it and loved it, and they did something different, and I hope they really enjoyed it, which I know they did. But that was another thing kind of too that was shocking. You and I have never been in an arena like that, and to be a part of it, I think we felt, wow, this is home. Like, this is great. And being in those 420 square feet of convention space, that energy with everybody, just like that creative and that kind of soul that everyone just had, that was beautiful. It's almost intoxicating. Yeah. It's almost exhausting, because when we're down here, I think we do stand out. It's big music down here, but we're more of an aggressive clothing brand. Being in an arena with that, it's like, it was so cool to just have all the gladiators in one spot. To breathe that in was definitely something. It was like, wow, this is cool.
Yes, absolutely, man. And, our neighbors were just super accepting of us, man. We knew in our minds that this was our first convention and the first time we've tried to enter into this market. Because we have tattoo inspired designs, but we're not like, the company wasn't built to like blend in with the fabric of them. We're just like, we love the culture. We love being a part of it. But to come in as someone that no one has ever seen before and just to be welcomed as if we've been there the entire time, man, that felt really cool, dude. I was like,
that did.
I was like, all right, we're in the right place, man. That's how because you're just like, here we kind of stick out like a sore thumb. There we blended in, and all the interactions I had with people, they almost had an air of like, haven't I seen you before kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like, oh, you guys are new. Like,
Right.
no one ever gave us
What are you
that.
doing here?
Yeah. Like, are you guys having a good time at your first convention here? Like, no, dude. It was like, no, we made instant friends, dude, like with a ton of people, and it was cool.
Also, too, with those, when you are engaging with your, future customers or your customers at hand, listen to what they say. Listen about their opinions on your pieces, because there's a lot of great advice that we've learned just through conversation with people. Like, I think down here, our biggest kind of sell is our mission, our kind of skull logo, which a lot of people know. It was so crazy up there. There was a lot of skulls, nothing like ours, and a lot of people did compliment ours, but our icon image just seemed to keep getting bites. And once we heard like how many people were just talking about that icon, we made that kind of the centerpiece. We lifted that a little higher. We wanted that to kind of be a flag, and boy, did that work.
Yeah,
that was wonderful. So listen to your audience. Like, don't just talk about bullshit. Like, take that feedback, because they're the consumer. They're the people that you're going to make money off of. So listen to what they got to say.
Yeah. And our first sale of the day, the guy came up and pointed to that shirt and was like, to that icon design, and was like, that's fucking rad. And he goes, thank you guys for actually caring about making a quality piece. He's like, a lot of these artists have merch here, but it's on like rough, like, clothing, like the blank that it's printed on is like not high quality. He's like, this is actually soft. Plus it's a great design. He's like, I'm taking it. Just like that easy. And I'm like, there we go, man. Like, maybe it takes a little bit to warm up, but people care about details, man. They care about quality, and they care about like, the story and the passion behind it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So Saturday was, I would say, our first day of success. It was a great day. There was a bro hug, maybe several. We're like, fuck yeah, this was a good call. This was a great choice. Funny thing, that night, we went back to our hotel and we run into a very famous comedian, Mr. Eddie Griffin.
Coming out of the black Escalade, shades on, pimp cup, pimp limp in full force.
And cup.
Walking up to the door. Almost gets his yak spilled on him by a white dude coming out of the fucking revolving door. The look on this dude's face was priceless, dude.
Eddie Griffin's face.
Eddie Griffin's face, yeah. The like the undercover brother and shit, like, he's not really acting too much, man. Like, he's like that in real life, dude.
Oh, yeah. And I did probably the whitest thing I ever did. He passes me. I'm on the phone with Chrissy telling her about the day, and I go, oh, shit, that's Eddie Griffin. I put down the phone. He walks by me, pimp limp, pimp cup, and I was just like, hey, man, how are you doing? The guy didn't even flinch. I was just air at that moment.
He can't be bothered.
But yet I was like, that's fucking cool. That's fucking cool. Okay, so now we're on Sunday, last day of the event. This is when shit gets, I think, a little real for us.
Yeah, so the beginning of the day coming in much more relaxed, man. At least we got some sales on the board Saturday. Kind of letting go of the end result a little bit. Still caring about making sales and everything, but like still easing back on like the anxiety around it. Like, Saturday went well. There's no reason to think that Sunday can't go well either. We
definitely showed up this time even more physically relaxed. We were in our joggers, sneakers, some beanies, which, anyway, how you guys want to play it. But I think at that point we wanted to be relaxed, and and it really helped.
Yeah, still just as engaging. Like, we didn't relax on the interaction. We still stood the whole time.
And still looking fly in joggers, y'all. I mean, come on. The hotel had a mirror.
That's hilarious. But Sunday is still surprisingly slow. There was a couple sales here and there, but that anxiety started creeping up again because we have to make the long drive back most of the way that night, and the convention doesn't end till 8, and so we make the decision to wrap up shop at like 6:30. Well, dude, fucking 4 p.m. came really fast. Yeah, it felt like we just showed up, and all of a sudden we got 2 hours till game time. We've only made like a couple sales here and there. It's time to step it up, man. So I take a short bathroom break. I come back and I pass a dude that's like hawking beard oil. He's like, "Hey man, you got a beard? That beard looks like it could use some of my oil. Come on over here, man. Like try some of this beard. I got this, and this." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm good, man." But like as soon as I keep walking by, I'm like, "Oh fuck, we got to step the game up, dude. Like it's time to go that fourth quarter press, man. The fourth quarter Brady,
Fourth
the
quarter
full
Brady.
fourth quarter press." So we get back there. Steve goes on a bathroom break. I'm like, let me try this shit. Let me see if my homeboy down here hawking beard oil is onto something. I step up the aggression. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" First person that comes by. I'm like, "Hey, man, love your shirt, brother. Hey, we're out in Nashville, Tennessee. We're a new brand. We're about to close down, man. I'm running a last day sale right here. This long sleeve is only, X dollars. This, our most popular shirt right here, the Icon tee, is only X dollars." I was like, last chance, man. Like, what's it gonna be, dude? Almost 10 sales in under an hour, like just
Easy.
amping up the energy like that. So I was like, fuck, homeboy was on to something. And it's, a couple things work for you. People know that it's the last day of the event and it's time to like shit or get off the pot and like make a decision. But also, and I think this is what you're probably trying to want to talk about too, is like save your energy. It's a marathon for these 3-day expo events, right? Save your energy, be present, be focused, but then like, don't be afraid to step it up in that fourth quarter because that's what everyone around you is doing. And that's what people are responding to the most because they need to be shocked out of their system and be like, okay, it's now or never. And you don't want to be the guy that's passed up because, not that it's all about, the end dollar, but you put the investment in to be there, man. You should leave it all on the court before you fold up.
Totally. I think two key words when you are approaching someone on the last day, it's last and sale. Last meaning this is the last chance you're ever going to get in this thing, and then sale. And I don't know anybody that doesn't like the word sale. I'll still go into the back of the stores and look at the sale stuff first. It's just it's my trade, man. It's what I do. When you put those words together and you're amped about it, people are like, well, fuck, I got to have this. I remember that lady walked by, man, you look really good in this. And I'll tell you right now, we're about to pack up. This is the last day. We're on the sale right now, 30 for the shirt. That's all she needed to hear. Mm-hmm. Okay, put one in back. Got it. And two, being in that tattoo convention, and Kevin and I were talking about this, it's so visually stimulating that what you were saying too, you got to shock people out of because everyone's just looking around. Everything's glamorous. I don't care what kind of clothes you have or like how good of a tattoo you're doing on some girl, even on her titty that everyone wants to stare at. There's that going on everywhere. Yeah. It's so stunning everywhere you look. So you have to get that last energy and just start attacking and shock people out of their systems and say, you need this. And I would say 95% of people, especially towards the end, I mean, that's where we made our big money. They were like, yes, of course, I definitely need this. And it's a sale. Okay, put it in a bag. Done. Yeah. It's just like that. It happens just like that.
Yeah, and so like literally those last 2 hours changed the landscape of the entire trip just because, we amped up the energy and went for them. And we tell you all these guys, we tell you all this stuff because we're trying to stay true to the mission of the podcast, which is practical advice for, we said for your creative vision, but that could be entrepreneurial too. If you're starting a business, if you're trying to be a band, if you're trying to be an author, like I hope, us being so forthright and honest about our experience here, you're taking away the lessons because this is valuable shit, dude. Absolutely. Like we're literally giving you everything we just told you, you might as well have been with us the whole time. So I hope you're taking these because it's not easy to open up and like share all these secrets like this because it's private stuff, man. It's how we're trying to build our brand, but we're opening it up to you because I think it adds a lot of value. So that being said, if we were going to recap this, know your shit, get the details ahead of time. If you have not received detailed instructions from the promoter, get detailed on where you actually park, on where you actually load in, like know the loading dock number, know the place. Number 2, stand your ground the entire time. Do not lose focus. Do not sit down. Do not for 1 second think it's going to come to you because it's not. And number 3, save your energy and don't be afraid of that full court press for those last 2 hours.
Absolutely. And as for the other stuff, it's just more of like an environmental thing, the playlist, the comfortable shoes, all that stuff. Yeah, but honestly, you need, and why we say that, you need to enjoy what you're doing because you can listen to us talk about our experience and just be like, okay, whatever. We're not talking about just because, hey, we made some money. Like we want to give you this because we're living this, and you have to enjoy what you're doing. Like, none of this makes sense. Like, money doesn't matter. It just, what matters is, are you like going to these conventions? Are you spending the weekend with like maybe like your business partner or someone like you actually can really fucking tolerate? That's a big thing. Someone who can amp you up when time gets low. Look, there's times where like I can feel I'm getting down a little bit, he's getting down a little bit. Nope, you got to amp up, or he's got to amp up, whatever it is. Whether you're in a band too, that's the same thing. You got to make sure everyone's happy. And I love how we have this outlet for you. And it's really vulnerable for us, I think, to talk about it, but we just hope you get solid advice, and you can learn from our mistakes, or you can take from what we give you, and hopefully it'll help you rise as a company or a brand or a band, a musician, whatever you are. So this is it's just been a great conversation.
No, absolutely. And I love how you say like getting a business partner that you can stand. Steve and I are very fortunate that we've been best friends for a lot of years now, man, and we've been through a lot together prior to starting this business venture. So we know pretty much each other inside and out. I would be very surprised if like Steve got in a mood that I've never seen before, and vice versa. Like, I think he'd be very surprised if I freaked out in a mood he's never seen me in. I mean, he's been with me through some of my major changes, through some of my worst moves, through some of my best moves. We fucking lived together for a period of time. I mean, so I'm not saying that that's common for everyone. You're not going to find a partner like that, but like definitely find someone who can keep a positive attitude no matter what, and is always willing to problem solve. We ran into a fucking issue with the rental car right out of the gate that had the potential to set us back hours and fuck up our entire first day of the trip.
There was no yelling or screaming.
It was calm down. What do we do to solve this? Luckily, some new information presented itself, and it turned out that the solution was a lot easier than we were originally thinking. And we were only set back, we actually were only set back like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, right? And so we got to Steve's parents' house that Thursday night on time as planned, even though we had a seemingly like, it was fucked up. It could have fucked up the whole trip, but we got through it, man. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there was never any like pointing fingers, name calling, yelling, screaming. There's nothing like that. And you can't do that, especially with people like when you are in a band. This is just like a band. It's people that you are trying to grow. A band is a business, and you got to make sure you guys are on level at all times, and you can't keep anything from each other, and have that, be supportive at all costs.
Yeah,
at all costs, because if one of you's down, the business is down, believe me. And so,
totally.
And there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be hiccups in every event you do. There's going to be hiccups. How many fucking times at a show someone breaks a guitar string or what? Something always happens. It's how you handle it that makes you a strong company and stronger, I think, people too.
Totally. There's always a solution to things too, man. If it seems catastrophic, calm down, use your resources, and ask yourself, do I really know everything there is to know here? Have I really exhausted every resource? Like, check your fucking email box. Like, did some new information present itself to you that you didn't know? Like, do not just fucking shut down, freak out, blame, and like end the entire opportunity to solve the problem. Like, there's always something you don't know. And, very rarely do things just not work out, man. If you run into a hiccup, it's usually due to lack of information, lack of knowledge of how to solve that particular problem. And you just need to calm down and focus and say, hey, man, there's probably a way around this that I'm not thinking of. Let's take inventory of what that could possibly be and get through it. That's just great fucking life advice.
It is. And the bigger your business becomes, the bigger everything becomes, the bigger the shit bigger shit happens. Like, the more the fuck ups happen. Like, there's just more shit, more money, more problems, right? Mm-hmm. So learn to deal with the little stuff now, and always learn to be supportive and just find solutions. I mean, that's basically it. And I mean, I think what were you saying, man? We hope you guys take this information today, and I hope you were entertained a little bit too. But we just hope you've gained something from this, as always. I mean, this is why we do the BombCast. This is why it's important to us, and we want you guys to be a part of our whole entire journey as this business progresses and grows.
Yeah, absolutely. And every path is different, obviously, but I hope that, if you listen to this story, you can take, I hope it gives you hope to fucking go for it. Cause like we said, maybe we downplayed it a little bit. This was a huge risk, man. And it took a lot of scrambling and trying to find last minute funds to even make it happen to get up there. And so maybe it encourages you to actually take that leap and get out there. Cause here's the thing, man, the amount of money that we spent to get up there and do this thing, yes, we could have conserved that and put it into Facebook ads and done more stuff locally. Well, the thing is, man, dumping that amount of cash into Facebook ads is way more risky than actually getting in front of a new market and just taking the risk to like show up in person. We're way more memorable because we showed up to this event than if we're just throwing out ads on literally one of the most ignored platforms in online advertising today. You can drop thousands of dollars on Facebook ads. It literally statistically is the most ignored form of advertisement. So I'm not saying it's not important. We have to get on the ball with it eventually here too. But as a new business, if you're faced with the fact of, do I dump this money into online advertising, stay comfortable behind my computer, do, a few local pop-up events and just see what happens? Or do I take the big risk on breaking into a new market, going up, playing with the big boys and seeing what happens? Go with that latter option and take the risk, man, because it's a risk either way, dude. You're going to lose as a new business. You're just going to lose money, dude. Get used to it. Like it's going to fucking happen. But the way you lose money, you should go out in style and meet as much motherfuckers.
Lose it in the arenas with the fucking Goliaths.
Exactly. Because that's the last thing too that I want to leave you guys with. That last day on Sunday, Mark and his buddy, Eddie, Eddie came to visit him, and so he had some company at the booth. So Steve and I were like, "Hey man, if you guys don't mind, like watching the booth for like 20-30 minutes, we're gonna take a lap together." And that time was really important for Steve and I because we got to take our time, walk around, introduce ourselves as the co-owners of the company, talk to different artists and different vendors around there. And it was surprising because everyone said that's the day that we learned the most about the whole Villain Arts like Expo tour as a whole. They're like, yeah, man, Cleveland's cool, but this is kind of a slower convention. Like, you guys got to get to Chicago. You guys got to get to Philly. Like, if you think this is cool, Philly's like 1,000 vendors, and it's like the biggest tattoo convention in the country, hands down. Like, not just out of the Villain Arts conventions, out of every tattoo convention ever. And we're like, holy shit, man. And so we went around to some of these major artists and major vendors, and they're like, yeah, man, it's been a slow weekend for all of us. And so it wasn't until that third day on Sunday that we were like, okay, everyone's feeling this, man.
Everyone was suffering, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just us. But the fact that we're here, the fact that we're shaking hands and like we're in front of people and that we were accepted so well is worth 10 times what we paid.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so easy to get down. It's so easy to just kind of stay in your own little cubby and just not want to branch out and reach out and just say, "Oh fuck, this was a bust." And that's a lot of people do it. It's actually the easy option. The hardest thing to do is, while you're in the midst of that, is to actually go around, put a little extra pep in your step and go introduce your company and go meet people and network. And you're right. When we did it that Sunday, we gained so much information that was useful to us,
totally.
Which we're gearing up to go do Philadelphia next year. And I mean, we've already got plans for it. And it's just, it's the power of the mind, man. You gotta, you're like Kev said, you're going to lose. So when you take big risks, even if you do lose, it's what you've gained from that loss. And that's a victory. That's actually you winning.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And it's, Steve was saying when we were up there, that's part of the success story, man. Like it's like, it wouldn't make sense for us to be 5 years down the road with a multi-million-dollar brand and be like, yeah, everything was easy, man. Like, it was handed to us.
Yeah, we just kind of showed up, did the thing, and people bought into it.
Yeah, and now here it is. No, man, it's stories like this, like we were saying earlier, that make up the dream. That whole experience that we just shared with you is living the dream, even when we're 5 years down the road and, we have employees and we're making a great living off of this. These moments that I'll never forget that trip, dude. That's a staple in Bombers history.
Yeah, it was that first Friday was just getting kicked in the teeth.
Yeah.
And waking up still wearing a smile.
Totally. Yeah, man. You have to experience that as a band or as a company. Like, you need to go out and get humbled, man, because it's real easy. Dude, honestly, staying in Nashville, like the pop-up events that we had last year, it's like, this is fucking easy, dude. They just come to us, man. Like Light the Nations, we, great event, tons of people. We showed up, and our event, we were actually backed up at one point. I was like, Steve, can you do this? He's like, no, I'm actually assisting this person right now. And I'm like, oh shit, like we got multiple things going on.
Yeah.
Right. We never experienced like a busy moment like that in Cleveland, even though we did, decent. Or just as soon as you think you're comfortable and think you can play, it's like, no, man, you should go out of state and compete and see what it's really fucking like. Because that, once you can do that again and again, and then you get to the point where like, man, we can afford 3-4 booths, and now we're looking a lot like these big dog companies that we used to think we were like, kind of dwarfed us in terms of like their scale or market share. Now we're like fucking competing with them, and we're right there, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we've had many ex BombCast guests, our musician friends, that will come in and have said, yeah, you can own where you're from. Like it's probably not hard, and not to downplay it, but if you're the best guitar player in the world in some small town in Oklahoma, I mean, I'm sure that's great. But you got to come to Nashville, or you got to go to LA. You got to see, and once you go down, you go see the best, and you start getting in these arenas with the best. It should make you even better.
Yes,
and it should shock you a little bit.
Yeah,
and you should be like, okay, fuck, I got to rethink this, and I got to get better, and I got to get stronger. And so that's what we did the exact same thing with our company when we went up there. It's like, we own it down here. You went up there and like, okay, this has definitely been a humbling moment, but wouldn't change it. We'll always remember it. And it was still a success. It was still a success from what we learned.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it really was.
So y'all, we really hope you enjoyed this conversation with Kev and I. And real quick, I just want to get into maybe a quick 5 minutes of what we got coming up here in the spring. Mm-hmm. Maybe Kev, you can take it on this. Maybe like a new design, or what we're kind of planning on coming up, man.
Yeah, man. So we're about to release the Mark's design, which was the whole reason for going up to Cleveland. That has his design on the front, and then our large mission logo skull. We took away the Bombers and Sleeves script that's in the circle around it on that mission logo, and blew up that skull times almost 10. I mean, it's huge. And so that was on the back of the shirt, and when we had it displayed up in Cleveland, everyone liked the design that was on the front, but they really were bummed out when they found out that big mission skull on the back was not the front of the shirt. And almost immediately seeing it too, after it came out of production, it was just clear. It's like, no, that's the fucking next step right there. It's to have that large skull on the front in a bunch of different colorways. And so that's gonna be the spring line. We're gonna do. You'll see it. I mean, you'll see it online if you follow us, without giving too much detail. I mean, it's going to look fucking rad. And I think it's phase 2 of that original mission logo. It's going to be insane. We're going to do some new colorways of that icon image, and we're just going to double down on that large skull and the icon, because those seem to be the front runners. Yeah. We do well locally with 6-1 Vibe. But to all of you guys that follow us overseas, or anyone in other states, we understand that 6-1 Vibe is a little alienating to you, because it's local to our hometown in Nashville here. So as Bombers and Sleeves as a brand, the large skull and that icon are going to be the big pushes that you're going to be seeing going forward, because they just get so much positive attention that we're gonna triple down on that. And I think you'll be super fucking stoked on what we have coming up from that. The large skull, dude, it's gonna fly. I think it's really what we've been searching for the whole time. It translates well. It was so well received up in Cleveland. Yeah. I can see it in a bunch of different colors on a bunch of different garments, dude. Whether it's the front of a hoodie, be it zip or pullover or crew neck or shirt or cutoff or tank. I mean, it works, and you'll be proud of it. I know you'll be proud to wear it.
And when we come to your city, we'll have it represented in your colors, believe us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the coolest part of it. Is it's just so you know, it's just so universal. As I study design more and more, both in like t-shirt design, but also branding design, and things like that, the biggest things I look for, well, first I start with the question, like, what brands do I admire? And like the top three that come into mind, obviously is like Nike, Monster, and probably like Puma. I love that Puma logo. And so when I look at those, I'm like, what makes them iconic, right? Like the Nike swoosh, the Monster M, dude, that's one of the fucking most amazing like logos out there. It's just, it tells you what it's about just by looking at it. You look at the M with like that monster scratch, you know it's Monster Energy, you know it represents an energy drink that's like fierce and intense and blah, blah, blah. Well, I think with this enlarged skull, it captures Bombers and Sleeves in one fucking glimpse.
Yeah.
Plus it just like, out of all the designs we have, I think it just translates the entire message of it in a way that's like subtle, but just really effective. So
every time I see it, I just think of Gary Clark Jr. You gonna know my name by the end of the night.
That's it.
Yeah, we thank you so much for tuning in to our BombCast. We hope you got a lot out of this, and thanks for hearing. Thanks for hearing Kevin and I just kind of shooting the shit, being a little vulnerable for you, but also just giving you advice and tips on when you do travel to these conventions. Guys, please check us out at bombersandsleeves.com. Follow us on social media. We're most active on our Instagram. Come see some new styles that we got coming up for you for the springtime. Right now, we're going to push a little bit of that 6-1 vibe stuff just because I think our city needs it right now. Y'all, again, if you want to write into the show, please rate and review us. We would love that. If you do want to write in, please bombersandsleeves@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Okay, and other than that, I'm just going to say one thing. Bomb your boundaries, baby.
Peace.